Debt almost broke me. It made me feel small, ashamed, trapped. But one day I stopped running, and that day changed everything. It was one of those mornings that almost felt like a scene out of a cozy family commercial. The sunlight poured gently through the kitchen window, dancing across the countertop. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air. I could hear my boys laughing in the living room, teasing each other over the last slice of toast. I stretched, yawned, and smiled to myself. "Another day," I whispered, slipping on my house slippers. After brushing my teeth and tying my hair back into a messy bun, I went downstairs. The coffee maker hummed, the bacon sizzled, and the kitchen felt alive. My husband George sat at the table in his work shirt, his calloused hands wrapped around his mug. "Morning, hun," he said with that easy smile of his. "Morning," I replied, kissing him lightly on the cheek before placing scrambled eggs on his plate. The boys came rushing in, backpacks half zipped, shoes untied, full of energy that made the whole house buzz. We laughed, we joked. For a moment, everything seemed right. From the outside, anyone would say we were a happy family. And they'd be right, mostly. But what they wouldn't see, the part hidden under the smiles and warm breakfasts, was the quiet weight pressing on my chest. Because behind that smell of coffee and toast, there were bills stacked in a drawer under the microwave. Unpaid, unopened, unavoidable, consumer debt. 3 words that can make even the most careful, loving family feel powerless. George works as a mechanic in a small garage in Hartford. He's good at what he does. Honest, reliable, always willing to stay late if a customer's car broke down unexpectedly. He's the kind of man who never complains. Even when his hands are covered in oil and his back hurts, he'll still come home with a grin and ask the boys about their day. I've always admired that about him. We live in a modest house in the suburbs of Connecticut. Not fancy, but homey. The kind of place with creaky floors and family photos on every wall. George pays most of the bills. His income keeps the lights on and the mortgage paid. I try to help in small ways. Babysitting for neighbors, selling homemade candles at the local market, sometimes doing light bookkeeping for a friend's small business. But most of my days are spent taking care of the house and our sons. It used to be enough, until it wasn't. The prices of everything, groceries, gas, utilities, kept climbing. Our income didn't, so we started using credit cards just until next month, and next month became next year. That morning, after George left for work and the boys had gone to school, the house finally became quiet. I cleaned the kitchen, folded the laundry, and swept the floors. Then, like I did every day, I poured myself another cup of coffee and stepped out onto the porch. The late morning air was crisp. The neighbor's dog barked somewhere in the distance. A playlist of soft acoustic songs played from my phone as I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. For a moment, peace. Until my phone buzzed. A new email. I almost ignored it. But the subject line made my stomach twist. Account overdue. Immediate action required. I opened it. It was a credit card bill. Balance, $4,872. Minimum payment due, $165. Due date, yesterday. Then I checked the next one, $3,600, and another, $12,900. The numbers started to blur together. My heart skipped. I quickly opened the bills drawer under the microwave and pulled out the last envelope from the same company. I hadn't paid that one either. For a second, I couldn't move. The coffee in my hand went cold. The music kept playing, but I couldn't hear it anymore. I just sat there staring at the numbers. How had we gotten here? All day I tried to distract myself. I vacuumed, I baked banana bread, I even scrubbed the bathroom tiles just to keep my mind busy. But the thought of that email followed me everywhere, like a cloud over my head. Around 2 p.m., as I was folding laundry, my phone rang, unknown number. I froze. I knew exactly who it was, the debt collector. The phone stopped ringing. I exhaled, relief flooding in, until it rang again and again. By the third time, I couldn't avoid it anymore. My hands trembled as I picked up. Hello. Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Karen from First Choice Financial. I'm calling about your outstanding balance. Her voice was polite, even gentle, but my chest tightened with every word. She listed the numbers: interest, late fees, total owed. I felt smaller with each figure. I tried to explain, just a little behind. My husband works hard. We're doing our best. But deep down, I knew she had heard it all before. When the call ended, I sat in silence. The hum of the fridge was the only sound in the kitchen. It felt like drowning, except the water was made of paper, bills, and shame. That night, after the boys were asleep, I sat by the window with my journal and a blanket around my shoulders. I thought about how we ended up here. No one ever plans to fall into debt. It just happens. At first, it's the little things. Using a credit card for groceries because the paycheck doesn't stretch far enough. Then the car needs new tires. Then Christmas comes, and you don't want your kids to feel like they're missing out. You tell yourself it's fine. You'll catch up next month. But the truth is, most of us never learned how interest really works. We don't think about how those small charges grow quietly, like weeds in a garden you stopped tending. And inflation. God, everything costs more now. It's not about being irresponsible, it's about trying to survive. To give your family a decent life in a world that keeps demanding more. Debt isn't just a financial problem. It's emotional. It's guilt. It's shame. It's feeling like you failed your family, even when you're doing everything you can. A few nights later, I was lying awake while George snored softly beside me. My mind was racing again, counting debts instead of sheep. Then something shifted. I realized that avoiding the problem wasn't protecting my family, it was hurting us more. Tricking myself into thinking maybe next month will be better was like pretending a broken leg would heal on its own. So the next morning, I did something different. I brewed my coffee, took a deep breath, and pulled out every single bill we had. Credit cards, medical bills, utilities, everything. I wrote them down in my notebook. The amounts, the due dates, the interest rates. It was painful. It felt like shining a flashlight into the darkest corner of my life. But it was also freeing. For the first time in months, I knew exactly what we were dealing with. No more guessing. No more pretending. That afternoon, I did the one thing I'd been terrified of. I started calling the credit card companies. My hands were shaking, but I reminded myself, I wasn't a criminal. I was just someone trying to make things right. The first call was the hardest, but to my surprise, the woman on the line was kind. She told me they could reduce my interest rate temporarily if I made consistent payments for the next 3 months. Another company offered a hardship program that paused late fees for 60 days. Each conversation chipped away at my fear. I learned something important that day. When you communicate honestly, people are more willing to help than you think. Debt collectors aren't monsters. They're just people doing their jobs. And sometimes they can become unexpected allies in getting your life back. Once I knew the full picture, I needed a plan. I read online about 2 popular strategies, the snowball method and the avalanche method. With the snowball method, you start by paying off the smallest debts first. It builds momentum and confidence, like watching a snowball roll downhill and grow bigger. With the avalanche method, you focus on the debts with the highest interest rates first, which saves more money in the long run. I chose the snowball. I needed those little victories to keep me motivated. I started with a store credit card that had only $400 left. I cut small things, takeout coffee, streaming subscriptions, random online shopping. Every spare dollar went to that one debt. When I finally paid it off, I cried. Not because it was a huge financial win, but because it was something. Proof that we could make progress. I used to shop when I was stressed. It wasn't about the stuff. It was about feeling in control. A new candle, a cute kitchen towel, a sale on shoes. Little things that made me feel like life wasn't so heavy. But now, before I bought anything, I asked myself, can I live without this for 7 days? Most times the answer was yes. It wasn't easy. Sometimes I stood in the store aisle, holding something I wanted so badly, and forced myself to put it back. But every time I walked away, I felt stronger. Because saying no to something small meant saying yes to something bigger. Our future, our stability. our peace. 6 months passed, and for the first time in years, I could breathe again. We had paid off 3 of our debts completely. The phone calls stopped. The emails slowed down. Our budget still wasn't perfect, but it was ours, and we were sticking to it. George noticed the change too. We started talking about money without fighting. We even set up a small savings jar for family outings. Nothing fancy, just small goals that made us feel like we were moving forward. One night, sitting together on the porch, George squeezed my hand and said, "I'm proud of you, Chell. You didn't give up." And for the first time, I believed him. Debt doesn't define you. It doesn't mean you're lazy, stupid, or reckless. It means you're human. You tried your best in a system that doesn't always make it easy to stay ahead. What matters is what you do next. Face it. Talk about it. Make a plan. Stick to it. There's no magic fix, but there is hope. And that hope starts the moment you decide to stop hiding from the truth. If you're a mom sitting at your kitchen table right now, staring at a pile of bills, feeling that familiar tightness in your chest, please listen to me. You are not alone. Debt is not a death sentence. It's just a chapter. And you have the power to turn the page. Start small. Write down what you owe. Make one call. Take one step. You don't have to fix everything today. You just have to begin. 6 months from now, you'll look back and see how far you've come, and you'll wonder why you ever thought you couldn't do it. Because you can. You're stronger than your debt. You're smarter than your mistakes. And your story isn't over yet. I used to be scared. I used to feel completely stuck. But I found my way through. If you believe that anyone can start over, please hit like and share this video to spread a little hope. And don't forget to subscribe to Smart Family Finance, where we learn to live with peace of mind about money together.